Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn the Traveling Trainer with GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to welcome back to today's show Ms. Kristy Wegert of My Workout Buddy. Now before Kristy returns back to GoTarryn TV, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now, you have seen Kristy Wegert previously before here on GoTarryn TV. She shared her information on what she does as a personal trainer with My Workout Buddy, and also her own personal amazing success story of losing over 100 pounds. So if anyone knows what they're talking about weight loss, it's definitely Kristy, and that's why I have her on today's show, because I'm going to talk to her about some myths and misconceptions about why people think they're not losing weight and why they cannot lose weight. So we're going to address those right now here on GoTarryn TV. I'm excited to reconnect and talk to Kristy Wegert right here in just a few moments. So stay tuned, and when we return, we're going to have Kristy Wegert, My Workout Buddy, right here on GoTarryn TV. And remember, with GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. All right, welcome back, everyone. And as you can see side by side, I promised we have Kristy Wegert of My Workout Buddy returning back to today's show. Kristy, how are you doing out there today?
I'm fantastic, Taryn. Thank you for asking.
Certainly, and we appreciate you coming out here again. We had you on a couple months ago, got to meet you for the very first time and learn about some of the great things you're doing here in the greater Atlanta area, in addition to your own personal success story. And if you don't mind, Kristy, just for the benefit if people are watching you for the very first time, if they didn't see last time that you were on here, can you please just maybe in a couple sentences share the amazing story of what you did for yourself, and I guess which kind of ignited the spark of you becoming a personal trainer, please?
Sure. I've been a larger person most of my life, and I think I probably wanted to drop the weight, but I never really knew what to do, and the motivation wasn't there. What I looked like was never really the spark that got me, because if that was the case, I would have done it when I was a teenager. When I was in my early 30s, I weighed about 250 pounds. That was what I remember logging. It might have been more, because there was a time when I didn't want to know. But the doctor gave me a really scary report. He said that my triglycerides and my cholesterol were very high, and I was only 32. And he said that if I didn't do something about it and turn it around in 6 months and start seeing some progress in a direction that looked healthy, that they were going to put me on medication. And, that wasn't acceptable. It scared me. I allowed it to scare me because I could have just taken the medication and thrown in the towel, but I let it scare me, and it changed my life. I have maintained, this September, I will maintain 100-pound loss for 11 years. And yep, that's, I wanted to share it and help people so that they could learn how to move their bodies and become stronger and more balanced and coordinated. And if they want to lose weight, they lose weight. If they just want to become healthier, they become healthier. But anything goes, as long as we're having a good time.
Yeah, certainly, and I agree. That's what it counts, is as long as you're having fun, and if you're going to do the weight loss and increase better optimal health, then that's even better added benefits. But as you're a personal trainer and working with people, you're definitely going to meet people of all different varieties of goals. But for the most part, I think we can agree that the majority of clients that we see, they want to battle the bulge, kind of drop some pounds, because in America, as we know, we have the problem of overconsumption and kind of really not knowing what the truth is. And we get a lot of myths and misconceptions out there. That's what I kind of wanted to bring you on here today, because as a certified personal trainer, and from being able to do it yourself, an amazing story of weight loss, there's a lot of different hidden myths that I think people get tripped up on, and we'll talk about some of those today. Again, a lot of people who aren't educated in it, they might not know, well, is the paleo diet the way to go? Is keto? Is these diet pills that I buy? Or I saw a celebrity on TV, they said that they swear the whatever HCG diet works, and you get these different shots and all. But I'm going to go over a list here just of kind of the common, I think, issues that people have with weight loss, and kind of ask you from that perspective, and just starting out with number one here. I think this is an easy one. There's about 20 of them, but the first one I want to talk to you about is how important would you say it is for people keeping track or kind of writing down what they're eating?
I would say that's huge. It helps people really, I mean, even if you're just scribbling it on a piece of paper and you're not using an app or anything, it really helps to just put it in front of you and have that information. You know what you're putting in your mouth, right down to the tiniest starlight mint. Everything counts. Everything counts. And really, it's about caloric balance. So if you don't know that data, then you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. I like that. Absolutely. Very well said. It's right there on black and white, and that helps a lot. Here's another interesting one. This talks about the difference of possibly losing weight, but without realizing it. So I'm sure you've had this happen a lot of times before, when a client will tell you that they get on the scale and the needle's not moving, but they do look a lot better. You've taken before and after pictures, let's say, and without question, they look much healthier and much better. But maybe, again, the difference of losing body fat percentage is taking place, but they don't realize that. Whereas if they're gaining muscle density weight, we realize that. But I think the general average person doesn't. So what can you speak about that? The frustrated client who certainly looks better, clothes are fitting better, people are telling them look better, but the weight's still the same.
Sure. That happens, I think, pretty early on when somebody starts to lift weights, because muscle density is so much more. The fiber is so much heavier. So you get 3 pounds of muscle and 3 pounds of fat. It looks so different.
Yep, exactly.
And the body shape changes. The circumferences change, the waist, the arms, the legs, and they might drop 2 pant sizes and not lose any weight on the scale. So the real number to look at is maybe your pant size, or waist to hip circumference differences, those ratios. And it really is more about how do you really feel too. Nice that it looks good, but you're feeling good, right? How hard is it to get up the stairs that had you out of breath last month? So I really look at that kind of stuff too in the more functional perspective. I think that really helps people kind of put it into a different frame as well, because that weight number can be so elusive with water retention and muscle being so much more compact. So it's a messy answer, but
no, very well said too. You're right. Water hydration plays a huge part in it as well, no question about it. And we see that a lot. That's why I try to tell my clients that, like you said, when they first start weightlifting, don't even get on that scale. That's going to be relevant. Just let's see how, like you said, how you're feeling and how you're looking. I think that'll be better. How about this one, Kristy? People who aren't eating enough protein, like if they're not losing the weight and you find out that they're hardly getting any protein in their diet, how important is it, especially if you got them on a weightlifting regimen with you?
Well, I do speak to that, especially when we're talking about the pre-workout meal and the post-workout meal. I feel like really my responsibility to make sure that their sports nutrition is solid. So they're, making sure that they get plenty of protein, like within an hour before. And then, I've talked to registered dietitians who argue 30 minutes after, and sometimes less, just depending on how hard they went.
Sure. Yeah.
At some point there's a scope of practice issue where I feel a little awkward talking too much about diet.
Sure.
Because it's really kind of a boundary that I don't like to cross over too deeply. And I feel like macros are sort of that's kind of a funny conversation, because if somebody's, say, a vegan, how do you argue that with them? Because they have a really hard time getting enough protein.
Very well.
So, the plant-based crowd versus the keto people and all of that. So getting enough protein can be tricky. And usually what I do, if I feel like they're not getting enough to feed the muscles they've been breaking down and they're just looking kind of, deflated and scrawny, I send them to a registered dietitian.
Yeah, me too. I do the same thing. I've got a couple of great dietitians that I work with too. That let's face it, they're the ones, the experts, and to go ahead and be safe and refer to. I like what you said, the scope of practice, and I just personally tell them, what I do. I do protein bars, sometimes protein drinks during the day. That helps me. I mean, it works for me, and kind of just using myself as an example. But I think you hit the nail on the head. That's interesting. With the, like you said, vegans, arguably some of the best people that eat the best are vegans, and very clean, healthy living. So most likely they're probably on a good regimen. How about this one? And I'm sure we see this a lot too. The people that don't know but that are eating just too many calories. Do you run into that a lot? That just people aren't aware, but they're just overeating way too much.
Oh yes, that's I think probably is when you're talking about weight loss, that is probably the problem.
Yep.
Once you get past, like, I've hired my personal trainer, I've started doing my base cardio to get my body ready. Yep. I'm starting to lift weights, and all of those things have been crossed off the list, and they've probably dropped 5-10% of what they need, and then they plateau.
Exactly.
It is how much you eat. After that, it's not the quality. It's nice to have good quality food. It's nice to have good quality sources of food, but honestly, it is so much about how much we put into our mouths and how much we drink. People really ignore that. They completely don't think anything about like I said earlier, Starlight Mints. I know that sounds crazy, but what are they, 20 calories each? Something like that. I mean, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but pop 6 of them every single day.
Adds up.
3,500 calories later, and you've got yourself a pound. So juice in the morning. I mean, I can't say juice is bad, but why not an orange instead of an orange juice? Then it's slower to process. These little things that are just, they seem so insignificant, but yes, it is all about the subtraction. Yeah, it's a mathematical equation. You're right. And you just kind of nailed it, saying quantity. And we'll talk about quality here. Actually, in the next one right here, how about the folks who just aren't eating what they call, quote, whole foods, instead that are eating processed foods or fast foods? Again, it's to you and I, it's kind of just simplistic, but to the average consumer, what do you say to the folks who, I can't go to McDonald's and eat processed foods? Okay, so in my world, there's like 2 camps of thought with that, because I have people who just want to keep it simple. They want to see the number. They know how many calories is in their Big Mac, and they're keeping within the calories that their doctor said they're supposed to eat or whatever. Then there was that guy, so here's that part of the argument. There's that guy who did that diet where he kept it at 1,800 calories a day, and he lost like 50 pounds, and it was all on garbage food. Oh, yeah. I can't remember who it was, but it was a good 5-6 years ago now, but he proved that he could eat all this junk food and lose weight on the amount of calories. So it can be done, but you feel horrible. You feel horrible. So the real deal to me is to, eat oatmeal in the morning and, foods that make you feel good. A couple pieces of fruit a day. My goodness, please eat fruit. Everybody's so afraid of it. Vegetables, lean sources of protein. Why not some yogurt, right? It's like pulling teeth sometimes because people still want their Doritos. I mean, anything in moderation, right? But every day. It's true. Come on. Yeah. Do we really need fried all the time? Or the packaged and the processed? I mean, there's convenience, and I understand that, but there are convenient other ways to do this. It's just taking people outside of their comfort zone. Yeah, you're right. It's a change of their lifestyle, no question. Very good, Kristy. How about the next one here with the folks that say that is it really that important to lift weights? We speak about, we know weightlifting does increase metabolism, but in your clients, if they tell you, Kristy, do I really need to lift weights? What do you say to that in terms of how important that is to their weight loss program? You know what? I've never had anybody say that to me in the time that I've done this. Everybody wants the lifting. I haven't had to answer that question yet. Everybody says in some form or another, I can do my own cardio, which most of them don't, by the way. It's true. I'll give them a bunch of homework, and I'll be like, do your homework. No, they don't do their homework. That's true. But no, they want the weightlifting because they know that that's what they're paying for. because I mean, honestly, I could probably push them harder on the cardio too, but so if I had a good cardio session, that'd be fine. But nobody ever argues I want to do cardio. Almost never.
They'd rather do the weights.
I don't know. What would I say to that, though? I mean, if somebody really asked why is it important, it has a lot to do with function, stability of the core and shoulders, functioning in your life, like being able to pull open a heavy door, carry your groceries into the house without, hurting your back. I talk more about why it makes you more capable in your life instead of so much about what it looks like, because over time that changes. We don't always get to look like we're 25. So a lot of my clients are, in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And so what I'm working with really is, would you like to pick up your grandkid and give them a hug while they're still a little guy?
Right.
So I work with these kinds of things, putting a heavy box on a shelf that's high up. That takes a military press or two, right? After a while, it's easy to put a 50-pound box over your head. So it's a functional question to me.
Oh, yeah. Lifestyle function. How about this one, Kristy? The folks that say if they're still drinking sugary drinks, how important it, like a Coca-Cola or what have you. Mentioned juice earlier, but I guess we can kind of go into that a little further with just sugary drinks in general.
Sugar. Okay. I mean, obviously we could talk about like juice, and it's certainly healthier than a Coke or a Monster. A well-placed bunch of carbs right before a workout could be helpful. It depends on what it is. I have heard recently, though, that all these drinks with the sugar in them and the excessive B vitamins are causing heart attacks. It's not the caffeine and the energy drinks that's hurting people. And I'm talking about really fit young people. It's the Bs.
Wow.
The nice, I think, is what it is. So the sugar can be a problem too. Okay, let's forget about the workout. Let's say you drink a sugary drink and there's nothing to slow down the sugar. There's a blood spike that happens and it makes you seriously hungry. So say you get 150 calories from this beverage. And okay, so maybe there's some antioxidants and it doesn't matter what it is. But it's going to give you a blood sugar spike, and then in 30 minutes or an hour, you're going to be very hungry, hungrier than you were when you drank that drink. So you're going to increase how many calories you drink and eat instead of just having food. Same amount of calories, you might have something with a little bit of protein or fat in it to slow it down the digestion, and then your body will use it at a slower rate. So, I mean, that would be my answer to that. It's just that it's, I mean, you could drink a sugary drink if you ate something with it that would slow it down. So that would help a little bit. But if you really can't say goodbye to your orange juice, you might have a day or two a week with your breakfast. So there's ways to step around these questions without making people give up things they absolutely love.
Oh, yeah. And I agree. Those energy drinks are scary, no question. We could do a whole video blog on that one next time. You kind of are. I think you already answered this one for the folks who aren't doing any cardio at all or don't want to do enough cardio. I mean, you kind of really addressed that. That I guess we could just say, cardio aerobics, no question. We do need that. That's part of that whole triangle of strength training, cardio, flexibility, of making sure that they're incorporating that. So well done on that one. You kind of answer this too. It says when people are binge eating, even on healthy food, I guess, you'll hear people say some misconceptions like that and say, well, I ate dark chocolate. That's better than milk chocolate, or I ate whatever, whatever that they're eating if they're binge eating. But I guess we could kind of agree that too much of something is probably not the healthiest in general. I mean, you've heard of people that overdrink too much water, that could deplete their sodium levels and such. But that's okay. Here's one. I got one. So we're halfway done with this list. This is number 10. You're not sleeping well enough. How about the clients that tell you they're just not getting enough sleep at all?
Wow.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because I start asking a lot of questions about their behaviors, like, when do they go to sleep at night? Are they looking at backlit screens hours, like right before they go to bed, or are they reading like, paper? You know, that has a lot to do with people's sleep right now.
Yep, absolutely. Cell phone addiction. Yep.
Yeah, or are they drinking heavily? Because what will happen is the liver will turn the alcohol into sugar, and right around 2, 3 in the morning, it wakes people up because they have this jolt of energy from the sugar that your liver has created from the alcohol.
Yep.
So that can be an issue. Too much caffeine. So really, it's a matter of a lot of questions first. Now, if somebody's in their 70s and they start progressing into that age, or menopause, perimenopause, sleep starts to change. And you get less of it. You might wake up at 3, 4 in the morning quite naturally. And that's just something that sort of happens as you age. And there isn't always something that can be done about it. It just is. I hear a lot about sleeping pills from some of my clients, and I wish I didn't. But what to do, you know, when we're talking about the aging population, how can you really do anything about that? It's just part of the body's process.
Yeah.
But if somebody was in their 30s and they were talking about the same thing, I would probably be more apt to ask questions about backlit screens and drinking.
Yeah.
Or caffeine use.
That too, yeah. And again, those are all great video blog topics to expound on for sure. Excellent, Kristy. And then you already spoke about protein. We've talked a little bit about that, and we talked about sugar. We haven't talked too much about carbs yet. The folks who were brought up on the food pyramid that you should eat more carbs, that should be the base, that should be the most of what you consume in a day. The people that are eating too many carbohydrates, what do you say to them?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't think I have an answer to that one, because macros can be quite variable depending on what they're doing with their bodies in a day. So I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, well, that's the one probably that we just refer them to the registered dietitian and tell them, say, let's see what the latest empirical data is on that. Because you're right, it's changed over the years. When we grew up, I mean, that food pyramid since then has been flipped upside down. Everything you hear about the keto diet or whatever else, I mean, they basically all contradict each other. And of course, when we grew up, the Atkins Diet, that was another one. And again, that's another one that's probably going to continue to change. I'm sure a year from now it'll be completely different.
Yeah, it's been a debate for as long as I can remember. When my mom was a personal trainer and she owned her studio in Roswell, the big deal was like fat-free.
Yeah.
Everybody was fat-free. Everybody, and it didn't matter how many carbs you ate because you could burn it off with your cardio. And then, you know, we started having all this wonderful type 2 diabetes, which I think is just the increase of the carbs and all the sugar and everything. Because if you want to make a packaged food taste good and you take away the fat, well, you got to up the sodium and the sugar, don't you?
And preservatives, all that.
So, you know, I think that there's probably a middle road here that everybody's missing. The answer is probably a little more stable and in the middle than all protein or all fat or all carbs. I think we need all of those things for us to survive, but the percentages are probably more individual than we realize.
And it's all about balance. Like you said, they always say eat a balanced, healthy diet, and that's the way to do it. And I said people who drink too much water, that is a possibility, but how about people that aren't drinking enough water or don't drink water, period? What do you tell them as the importance of water?
That usually comes up pretty quickly in a workout without me having to give them a verbal discussion. Because they cramp.
Yep.
When you pinch their skin, you can actually show them a display of what happens with dehydration. If you pull on the top of their hand like this and you let it go, if it doesn't snap right back and it just slowly goes down, you can tell them how dehydrated they are by the way their skin snaps back.
Yeah.
So you can give them a real life example of it, and usually they take the hint pretty easily. You start realizing that, okay, maybe it is important. It comes full circle when you give them a real life lesson. And weightlifting will have you cramping in no time if you don't take care of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing. I think nobody drinks enough water in general that we see, especially me included. I can certainly drink more water. Now, speaking of drinking, you've already addressed this. You mentioned about alcohol. I think that could be one of those where just people know that they can cut back. Like you said, you mentioned earlier about drinking alcohol at night. Alcohol can turn into sugar and such. So that's a great way for people to eliminate that, to be able to lose the LBS. How about this one here? It says they have a medical condition that makes things harder. That's kind of a controversial one. This one that says, if they're hyperthyroid or they've got PCOS or any kind of sleep apnea. So they have medications that they can take that cause weight gain or that make it harder to lose weight. That's a tough one too to address. I mean, but does that ever come up in workouts with clients at all?
Sure. We might be fighting that fight for years.
Yep.
And I'm usually pretty upfront with somebody when I do my research on their medications, and it says that weight gain and bloating are part of the medication they're on, but it's necessary for them to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
Then I come back again to the functionality of it, and how much fitter you are, or how much better you feel, and how much better you sleep, and how much more you can be present in your life because you are well.
Yep.
And, maybe if we do this long enough, depending on the medication, maybe medication is no longer needed, and then that weight will come off. But yeah, that is a hard conversation to have because I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell somebody not to take their medicine, even though it's they're coming to me for weight loss. Although, most people don't say that straight out of the box. They'll say, I want to get stronger, or I want to be fitter, or whatever. But very rarely does anyone ask me for weight loss, which is kind of funny. But I guess I did have a significant one myself, but I don't get asked for that very much.
Yeah, it could be already implied. They know you've done it, so maybe they just figure, all right, she knows what she's doing, so I better practice what she did to get to where she's at. That could be it. And to what your point also with doctors, I always heavily refer on the doctors whenever filling out any kind of medical clearance or Part Q forms. But the doctors themselves, what I'm liking, Chris, and you're probably seeing this too, is that they're actually prescribing exercise more now with trying to get off, like you said, their medication. I've had several clients recently tell me that came to me, new clients who said, yeah, my doctor said that I need to see you because if I do, I could probably get off these blood pressure pills, or maybe one day get off these diabetes medicine, pills that we're taking. So I think that's great that doctors now are kind of giving us a little bit more credibility and more respect. So hopefully that'll continue. We have gone through, we're at the last one here. This is a good one to end on here, Kristy. The very last, but not least, maybe the most important here. Their expectations are unrealistic. And I'll give you an example. That client who comes up to you and my wedding is in 2 months, I've got to lose 30 pounds. Or we've got a class reunion in 3 months, I got to lose 50 pounds. What do you say to the folks whose expectations are unrealistic?
I've had a couple of people approach me before we even had our first little interview in person, where they come and tour the studio and we have our talk.
Yep.
And they might say, I need to lose 30 pounds in 30 days or something that sounds like what you'd see on television, but isn't realistic.
Oh, yeah.
And I explained to them that this is not only not healthy, but really not possible. No matter what they see in these before and after photos, what they're looking at is, if it really did happen, was very, very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't do that. We make SMART goals and specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound.
Yep, absolutely. Yep,
realistic,
that's the key. That's the key.
So, yeah, the unrealistic part is, unfortunately, how a lot of people operate, because we have this 30-minute sitcom revolution going on. Everybody was raised on that 30-minute sitcom where you have a problem and a solution in 30 minutes. Everybody wants it done quickly. But it doesn't work that way. You lose weight slowly, or it doesn't happen. You just go right back up again. Your body does not like to change. So it has to be slow, or you're going to just go right back where you were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's great, Kristy. Well, I couldn't agree more. And this is terrific, Kristy. You did an unbelievably great, phenomenal job on answering this list. And we did it in such a short period of time here, in less than 30 minutes. So I really appreciate you being able to help knock this out. Just a couple more questions before I let you go. I understand last time you and I spoke, you were redesigning, I think, a new website here. And so if we could finish the show by plugging your contact info and the best ways for people to learn about My Workout Buddy and contact you directly, please. How can they do that?
Absolutely. So my new website is friendlyandfit.com. And the email is info@friendlyandfit.com. And my phone number is 404-641-7173. And yeah, that's me. My Workout Buddy.
Perfect. Very good. We will get that on the screen as soon as we fade to black here. Kristy, again, I want to thank your time for your time, and I appreciate you coming back. Let's have you back on and return here in the next month or so and do another one of these, because, again, I think we left it off some sub-tangents that we could definitely delve into.
That's me. I'm a tangent girl.
Well, on that note, we'll fade to black. And Kristy, enjoy the rest of your week. And here comes My Workout Buddy contact info right now.